Hi, Painting One. Let's talk for just a second about your syllabus. Painting One is an introductory painting class that focuses half a semester on watercolor techniques and half a semester on acrylic techniques. I taught this class 2 years ago and it was so much fun. You really get such a good feel for the two different kinds of paint and you really start to kind of identify favorites. You learn a ton of techniques in both. It's just a great introduction to build on in other classes. And having said that, Painting One is designed to be a base for future art classes that you would take at West. It's a great to build on to Painting 2 or 3 or Portfolio, different classes like that. Okay, so let's talk. I'm going to skip over just a second some of this expectations and grading things. And I'm going to jump down specifically to what we cover in this class. So there will be a little bit of an art history. We'll teach you a little bit about the history of painting and how artists have painted before us, because we really learn a lot by learning how people have done things before. We're also going to focus on transparent techniques, transparent mediums. That would be watercolor. Watercolor is see-through and layers built on top of each other. So we'll talk a lot about the fun challenges of working with a transparent medium. We'll also talk about opaque mediums, not transparent, not see-through. That would be your acrylic paint. Formal properties in painting, that would include color theory. Color theory is a big deal when you get into the painting world. You really have to understand how to mix colors and how they play together and how people perceive color. So we'll talk a lot about color theory. And then since this is an upper level class, we do start getting into more peer critiques and just giving positive, build people up suggestions about where their work is going, maybe helping them kind of try and problem solve and how they could approach something that could be a challenge in their artwork. So we'll do little bits of critique as well. If you want to specifically read through the learning targets and the essential standards, that gives you a really good idea of exactly what we will cover. You have this week, this Wednesday, is not a day that you meet with teachers, it's a planning day. So that day I have reserved for you to read through the syllabus and work on a scavenger hunt assignment in Schoology. So you'll just go in and open that, and then you'll open the syllabus and kind of maybe split your tabs and toggle between the two. You can answer the questions from the syllabus. If reading is not your cup of tea, don't forget you've always got the option of highlighting text and then using the extension Google Read and Write to have it read the text back to you. So don't forget, that's a good option too. That assignment will be due on Friday. So typically you will receive your assignments on Monday and then they will be due probably by Friday. And then we'll start all over again. Friday, Sunday, it just depends on the week. A question I usually get in the higher level classes is there going to be homework? And I would say sometimes yes, there absolutely will be. A lot of it depends on how you make use of your time. It's really important to stay on top of deadlines. I will build in a lot of checkpoints that I will expect you to touch base and make sure that you're showing me the progress so that it doesn't just landslide on you at the last minute. Especially while we're online, that's going to be very important. Those are typically graded, those checkpoints. So as you get into the upper level classes, yes, if you want to produce a high quality product, you are probably going to be looking at working outside of class on it because art takes time.
Painting, you have some supplies that are going to be handed out to you tomorrow when you go to West to pick up supplies. What's going to happen is you're going to get a big brown like Hy-Vee stack, and inside of that you're going to find I have a manila folder that I have put some papers in for you, and then I have stapled a Ziploc baggie with your watercolor supplies that are coming to you that Lee Summit West is providing. Now, these are not yours to keep. These are yours to borrow, like a library book. If things get damaged or not returned, then you will be issued a fine card, just like you would if it was a library book. So the things that I need you to look for when you pick up that kit on Wednesday, you should have a pan of watercolors. They are used, most of them. I think I had to add in like 5 brand new ones, but they should have the paints all refilled. I did that myself. They should not contain white. He did not want you to have white paint, and we'll talk about that later. The lid on 1 or 2 of them was detached. That's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll show you where you're going to make a note of that in a little bit. What else? Let's see here. So you're going to check off your watercolors have a number on them. And I have written down that number on a class roster, so I know what number paints you have when you come back. So when they come back to me, and we'll talk about cleanup when we get down the road, but they're going to need to look just like they did when they came back. You also have 4 brushes, and we'll talk about what all these brushes do later, but you're going to have a green-handled flat watercolor brush. You're going to have a green-handled round watercolor brush, a yellow Crayola brush, and then one that's got kind of a brown wooden handle it's like a detail brush. And then you're going to have 3 different sizes of paper. So you're going to have 2 11 by 14 sheets for projects, 1 9 by 12 sheet, and 3 scraps. In addition to this, you're also going to have a little sandwich size Ziploc baggie with a kit in it. This is for a little small project that we're going to do on Friday. Just sit tight on this. Don't open it. Don't remove any of the parts because I've already pre-cut everything for everybody so that you'll have exactly what you need. Just leave it inside of the Ziploc baggie, the bigger one, until we get there on Friday. Don't do anything with it yet. So the paints and the brushes will all come back to me at the end of the semester. Obviously, the paper will not. The brushes and whatnot are going to need to look just like they did when I gave them to you. Once you get these and the provided supplies, then you're going to lay all of them, once you get these supplies and the required supplies, so the sketchbook, the tub for holding water, all of that good stuff, paper towels, you're going to lay them all out on the table in front of you, and I want you to take your phone or your iPad, whatever, and I want you to hold it right above and take a picture so that it's a flat layout and we see all of those supplies collected, okay? And then you're going to submit that checklist. If you ever get this message that it won't open, just click that arrow and it should take you there. Okay, you're gonna come here. It'll get adjusted in just a second. This is actually Foundations of Drawing. You have your own for painting. But you'll come through here, you'll check off all of your supplies that you've got them, and then you will answer these questions. And then right here is where you're gonna upload your file, okay, of all of your painting supplies.
All right, let's look really quickly at the required checklist of supplies. So if you are in painting 1, that means you have either had Foundations of Drawing and Foundations of Design, or you've been a visual arts student and you've had visual arts for a year. If you are a visual arts student, you probably had a sketchbook. If there is any room left in that sketchbook and it is 60-pound paper, then use that for painting this semester. Don't go buy a new one. If you are a Foundations kid, you may not have a sketchbook. You may need to go buy one. If you do, I would really emphasize that you look for 60-pound paper, and it will say it on the front, okay? A minimum of 60 pounds. Because we're painting and putting a lot of water on the page, we need it to be heavy enough that it will hold up. If you buy thin drawing paper, gonna soak right through and your paper's gonna tear and the techniques won't work. You won't be happy with your end product. So you have to start with a good paper in order to get good results, okay? So that's kind of where we're at with the sketchbook. If you could get that this week, have it by the start of the first full week of school, that would be wonderful. You're gonna need a pencil every single day. We discourage erasing with watercolor because it tends to mark the paper and do weird, funky things to it. So an eraser isn't as necessary as a pencil is. And we're really gonna work on making light marks with that pencil. You're going to need some containers. So go rummage through your recycling bin and see if you can find some yogurt cups that have been used and washed. Sour cream works great. Those types of sizes of containers for water. And then you're going to need some paper towels. You will always need to have paper towels on hand when you're painting. It's not a negotiable. You always, sometimes they're used for techniques, but you always will need them. These supply lists that came home in your supply kit, which we talked about in another segment here of the video, we talk about acrylic paint second semester. It is not necessary, and I told your parents this in their parent video as well. You do not need to go out and buy acrylic paint right now. We're not even going to get to it for like another 6 or 7 weeks. But when we do, if we are still in a virtual situation where you're still working from home, then we might need to have the discussion about what kind of paint to get and all of that good stuff. If mom or dad are wanting to watch for sales or just pick some up because you just want to have it on hand and you know you want to use your own paint, sometimes even when we're here in a typical year situation, some kids think our paint is more see-through. It's not as what we call viscous, which means sometimes you have to put more of it on to get it not to be see-through. They like to go out and get some of this type of paint instead because it does tend to be a little bit more thick and just it doesn't take as many coats, and color mixing tends to be a little bit easier. So totally your call. It's not required at this point, and I will let you know with ample time when it is, if it is. All right, I think that's everything. So if you would just focus this week on reading through that syllabus and filling out that syllabus scavenger hunt. Email me if you have any questions about anything, and I will talk to you soon.